Next, we're talking about breaking free from food addictions. 1 in 8 Americans polled in a Michigan University study show signs of food addiction. Now, any addiction, if left unchecked, can send a person spiraling downward. On the flip side, addressing addictions and applying remedies can be a path to even greater health and well-being. In this next piece, we'll look at how to step out of any compulsive or addictive behaviors in relation to food that a person might have, and how to simply and strategically live a life free of it. Joining us now is Sheridan Genrich, clinical nutritionist and naturopath. Good to have you with us, Sheridan.
Thanks for having me, Steph.
Yeah, and I want to start with, how is it that food addiction seems to be more common these days?
So we're designed to enjoy food for pleasure, but in our everyday environment, we have highly palatable foods that are full of sugar, seed oils, salt, and basically going to make our brain's reward system overstimulated. It increases the dopamine levels to an unnatural level. And this is where it's not a lack of willpower that people are finding it really difficult to break free from these cravings that they're having.
Now, there are differing views on what causes addiction, all of which could determine the actual path people choose to initiate their healing. How do you see what causes addiction?
So it's usually a combination of genes, the environment, and personal health factors, which would be physical and emotional health. So it's the perfect storm coming together. The genes only set the stage for vulnerability and risk, but it's actually the environment then that determines whether those genes are very easily tempted and triggered over. So the dose that someone needs will be different and they can handle at a time. So it's a combination of factors, which actually is why there's no one single thing that will remedy the food addiction.
So let's dig into that now. What actions would you recommend for overcoming food addiction? I know there are multiple pathways here, so let's lay some of them out.
Sure. So support groups, online support groups are crucial and giving you tools and strategies, but without changing the brain chemistry, the food, it's essential that they look at nutrients, and supplementation can make this a lot faster. It's a food first approach then as well, but the supplements like amino acid therapy, 5-HTP for serotonin boosting support, magnesium, B complex. This is where the brain can normalize those really high dopamine levels, and then having adequate protein, natural fats in the diet, and just regular routines. And goes without saying that if you're trying to remove an addictive substance, if you have that at home every day.
You're just frozen here just for a moment
it's
here.
Just too
We've got you back. All right.
Okay, sorry.
So if we have the addictive substance around us in our environment, you were saying it's going to make that a lot tougher.
Yes, absolutely. And so you can't, it's not worth, willpower will not make this stick. So we need a supportive environment and the brain chemistry to be able to be changed as well. So that's going to be food, supplementation, movement. And things like cold water plunges can also increase dopamine levels. Exercise, music is pain relief. And that's really what people are using the food as a relief for pain. But it doesn't have to be the only solution. And online support groups are very much a critical part of this. And it's going to be a lifelong process as well. If someone has genetically wired towards addiction, then just knowing that their risk is going to be higher, it just means that they're supporting through their environment rather than relying on isolation and willpower, because that's not how you're going to succeed. Having your own food if you go out, or, things that you can avoid temptation because you're prepared, and looking after your own self-care is a good place to start.
Yeah, it can be a really tough thing for people to deal with. It can be quite isolating, as any addiction, right? But do you have a message of hope for someone out there who is battling an addiction, especially a food addiction?
Yeah, it's something you can overcome, but not working on your own. And it's a combination that the genes are not going to determine the destiny, but having the personal health, the brain chemistry changed, is going to really make this the first step towards success. And then doing things in community with like-minded, non-judgmental people that are working towards naturally boosting their dopamine levels through, sunlight, exercise, just the simple pleasures in life. So it's more like a relative balance rather than something extreme that the brain is trying to recalibrate through the extreme dopamine hits that it's getting through drugs or food or alcohol.
Yeah, all these also seem like great strategies to even prevent an addiction from taking hold. If you do have a great support system, if you do have a great positive, uplifting lifestyle, that's all going to support just a greater expression of yourself through your life. Thank you so much for your discussion today, Sheridan Genrich, clinical nutritionist and naturopath, for your insights.
Thanks, Steph.